Hello everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and today we are here with the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness in a pretty fitting environment. It is cold, snowy, and this is exactly where this little off-roader wants to be. Competing against things like the Ford Bronco Sport and the Jeep Compass Trailhawk, this all-new Crosstrek Wilderness is really kind of carving out a little bit of a niche of its own in the small off-roading SUV segment that has been exploding over the past few years. It has impressive ground clearance, a lot of standard features, and a price point that is definitely coming in cheaper than the competition. And this one is pretty much almost fully loaded at around $35,000-ish, and you can get them a little bit cheaper. And with this pretty cool paint and a lot of other cool paint colors, you can kind of customize your Crosstrek Wilderness to make it your own. I've been having a pretty fun time driving this thing over the past week, and I come from a family of Crosstreks. We have two Crosstreks at home, an original one from 2013 and a 2020 model. So it's pretty interesting to kind of get to drive this latest version of the Subaru Crosstrek, as I am pretty familiar with the powertrain, with the CVT transmission and the layout of this vehicle, and it really hasn't changed too much over this past decade, and I think that's a good thing. Subaru buyers know what they want. They want a dependable, cool looking, funky vehicle with a decent amount of cargo space, great capability in all weather conditions, and this Crosstrek Wilderness only enhances all of that. So let's dive in. I'm going to take you guys on a full tour and review of this Crosstrek Wilderness. Okay guys, let's go have a look at what's happening under the hood of this Crosstrek Wilderness, because there actually are a pretty good amount of changes. Okay guys, so what do we have going on under the hood of this Crosstrek Wilderness? Well, the thing is, Subaru hasn't changed the powertrain for the Crosstrek in a while that much. So thankfully, we did get the introduction of the Crosstrek Sport with the previous generation, and that is the engine we're seeing here. So under the hood is a 2.5 liter flat 4-cylinder engine compared to Subaru's CVT gear transmission. This is their Lineartronic CVT, and it is different for the Crosstrek Wilderness. It actually has a different final drive ratio, which is going to allow you to have a little bit more lower end torque and power going up some steeper hills, which is nice they did for the Crosstrek Wilderness. Now, the Crosstrek Wilderness also gets an exclusive oil cooler and a larger radiator fan, which bumps the towing capacity up from around 1,500 pounds to around 3,500 pounds. So that is a really nice thing they did here to kind of adapt to the off-road adventure lifestyle that the buyers for this vehicle they're aiming for. Now, this engine's making around 180-ish horsepower, which is fine, though it would be nice to be seeing something a little bit around the 200 to 200 plus horsepower range, maybe even a turbocharged option maybe down the road in the future, because the competition like a Bronco Sport and a Jeep Compass is definitely going to be offering more power. The continuing to the variable transmission is okay, though it would also be nice to see an automatic, but that we all know is not never going to happen with Subaru. Fuel economy isn't the best thing on this Crosstrek Wilderness, as you are getting higher ground clearance and a lot of off-road bits, which is going to bump it down to these numbers that you're going to be seeing here. And another great feature is Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system in this Crosstrek Wilderness has been even further enhanced with additional X-Drive modes, active torque vectoring, we have hill descent control as well, and it is better than ever. So this powertrain and the whole drive unit of this Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness is pretty impressive. We'd love to see more horsepower, but what we have so far is good enough, I think, for what you're getting for this price range. Okay guys, let's go take a quick tour of the exterior of the Crosstrek Wilderness. It is freezing outside, if you haven't been able to tell, and it's snowing right now, and this is a perfect environment for the Crosstrek Wilderness, especially here in this awesome Sunblaze pearl shade. So what's new? Well, as you can see outside, there is a whole new kind of body cladding kit that Subaru has added for the Crosstrek Wilderness to kind of give it a little bit more off-road chops, and that is going to help to improve approach, departure, and breakover angles. And we have over 9 inches of ground clearance on this little beast, which is really impressive. Up front, I do want to highlight some of the more significant changes you can see here. We have a unique grille design as well as that massive unique bumper. We also have those really cool accents on the tow hook covers up front, which is really cool. And you can see these custom hexagonal shaped LED fog lights that are exclusive to the Subaru Wilderness model, so you can't get that on any other Subaru model. Now, if you do look at this bumper, you can see how it is sculpted to kind of give you those better approach angles. And underneath here, we are getting skid plates to kind of protect some of the vital components underneath the Crosstrek Wilderness. You can see that nice big metal skid plate underneath there to kind of protect everything from getting hit by some stuff off-road. Also up front here, we are noticing that little bit of a kind of sun blocker on the hood here. This is supposed to kind of reduce glare if you are in some kind of off-road situation and the sun is shining on your hood and it doesn't bounce into your eyes. It also is a cool little decal. Some people aren't the biggest fan of it. I believe it could be removed, but I think it looks pretty cool. Coming over to the side of the Crosstrek Wilderness, we are spotting some standard, more all-terrain tires here from Yokohama. I wish kind of Subaru offered a mud or snow tire option, but obviously you can put those on in the aftermarket. We do have a decently sized wheel well, so you can put some aftermarket tires and wheels on here. These are 17-inch black wheels that are also exclusive to the Wilderness model, and this is all stuff that's coming from factory. Subaru has also retuned and redesigned the suspension for the Crosstrek Wilderness to kind of fit this more off-roady style, and you can obviously see the more aggressive body cladding around the bumper area. Also on the side of the Crosstrek Wilderness, we are getting those Subaru Wilderness badges out here, which look pretty nice in that kind of same accent we're finding around the exterior of the vehicle. And also coming to the full side of this Crosstrek Wilderness, we can see the Crosstrek logo spelled out and then more aggressive body cladding on the side. And you can kind of get a little bit of a hint of how tall this vehicle is now with that additional amount of ground clearance. It is a class-leading ground clearance number as well. I believe it's 9.3 inches, which is really impressive for this kind of small crossover off-road segment, which is, again, pretty much growing very quickly. Also, we can note on the roof here, we can see those copper yellow accents, and this allows you to hold up to 700 pounds of static weight. So you can put like a tent up here while you're not moving, obviously, and while you're moving, I believe that weight is reduced to just under 200 pounds for kind of roof cargo. So that's pretty nice, and I do like these accents on the roof rails up here. They look really sporty and unique for the Wilderness models. Really nice touch here, and this one does have the optional sunroof package, which I believe is around a $2,500 to $3,000 option and bundles in a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's pretty much a fully loaded Crosstrek Wilderness for additional accessories. Popping around to the rear of the Crosstrek Wilderness, I think it is a good looking vehicle. I thought it was a little bit much at first, but it looks just at home in this snowy environment. Really unique rear bumper design back here. Again, this is designed to improve your departure angle back here. You can see how it's kind of raked up a little bit to help that angle, and it's a really nice looking bumper. I think even though it is in this kind of plastic, it's cool because it's designed to get dirty, it's designed to get scratched up, and if you need to replace it, it's going to be a lot cheaper than having to kind of fix a painted bumper. I also like how they spell out the Subaru logo in the bumper with those kind of copper yellow tow hooks right there. And like I said in the earlier demonstration of this video, if you do get a tow hitch on this one, it can essentially pull its own weight in towing thanks to an improved oil cooler, a transmission cooler, and a fan. So that's pretty cool. It weighs around 35-ish, 3,600 pounds, and it can tow around 35-ish, 3,600 pounds. Pretty interesting towing specifications there. You're also going to note some blacked out badging on the rear of the Crosstrek Wilderness for your Crosstrek badge, your symmetrical all-wheel drive badge, and again, a Wilderness badge, of course, because this is the Wilderness model. Now, checking out the trunk space of the Crosstrek in the Crosstrek Wilderness, it's all pretty much the same. Let's go check that out now. There's no power tailgate at all, which is unfortunate, but pretty common in this class. It's kind of the smaller SUV class. You have a little bit of a button here to kind of open up the trunk. Press that, it opens up, and here you can see your trunk space. Now, it's not the biggest thing on the planet whatsoever, and there is a pretty high kind of load floor now that this has raised up a little bit. You can see back here, though, that you are getting a custom Subaru Wilderness rear all-weather mat for your trunk, which is really cool. It has this kind of like tread pattern on it, very adventurous. Thankfully, Subaru did give me this snow scraper for the week, so to kind of help scrape off some snow and ice in the vehicle. But here you can kind of get a little bit of a hint of this space. Definitely are going to want to move up to a Forester if you're going to want more space. I do like how they kind of thought about the adventure aspect. They put like cup holders back here if you're going to be sitting out here and kind of just chilling. You got your little seat here, you kind of sit on it and relax if you're kind of out doing some adventure stuff. But I kind of like that they thought about that. Definitely something from a customer feedback there. And it's some more fun little patterns here, and this one does come with a spare tire, which is fantastic. Definitely something that's going to be needed if you're in an off-road setting, but that is not a full spare tire, unfortunately. Okay, let's go take a tour of the rear end of the Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. Nice wide door opening, and it pretty much opens almost at a 90-degree angle, which is really nice. Easy access, really wide opening. I don't like how Subaru kind of cheapened out on the door panels for this updated Crosstrek. It's this giant gray black plastic and plastic down here. You kind of get that StarTex material here, which is a water repellent material Subaru kind of devised. It's not leather, it's like kind of like a vinyl-ish material, but it's very soft and grippy, which I do like. You can kind of see that copper yellow accents around it, which is really cool. So let's hop inside, see what we got. Before we even hop inside, we can see those little cool mountain accents here and on the all-weather floor mats. Hopping in, pretty easy. solid thunk from this door right here. I do like how there's a lot of glass in this interior, so you always have a good amount of view, even if for rear passengers. But it's a little bit tight in here with leg room. I have a lot of foot room, though my legs are hitting this front of this seat. This is my seating position. I definitely could be sitting up a little bit closer, but this is, if someone is really tall, this is what they're going to have to experience for the rear passengers. I do like how we get the all-weather floor mats. That's a very nice touch, especially for these adventurous all-weather conditions that you will be doing in your Crosstrek Wilderness. We do only have a USB-C and A outlet, no air vents back here, or no rear heated seats. The seats themselves are comfortable, though they are a little bit short on thigh support. That would be a little bit nice to have. That can improve that. And we do have a center folding armrest here with 2 cup holders, which is a nice addition. And you do have some child anchor points down here for a car seat. On the driver's side, we don't get a little storage cubby behind the seat, which is a little bit unfortunate, though we do have that on the passenger side here. The whole seat is wrapped in that kind of water repellent, durable StarTex material, though, which I honestly do quite like. I didn't think I was going to like it at first, but it's definitely obviously nicer than a cloth option, especially for a adventure-focused vehicle. You could technically fit 3 people back here, though it's going to be tight. Sitting behind the passenger seat, you can see it's moved up just a little bit more. And I have a little bit more leg room and knee room. Pretty good cutouts in the seat, though, which is nice. And thankfully, the sunroof does not kind of intrude on the rear headroom space. It kind of has a nice sculpture up here. And there's a lot of actually nice rear headroom back here. I think I would say I have about an half an inch to an inch of rear headroom, which is pretty fantastic. And you have pretty quick, easy access right into the trunk back there as well. And again, it doesn't feel too cramped and dark back here, though. Definitely, if you're going to want some more space, you're going to want to upgrade to a Subaru Forester. And now you can get a pretty nice look of this front cabin, which is pretty a nice place to be, though there is one giant missing feature that I'm really frustrated why Subaru is not including on this vehicle, but let's talk about that when we hop up there. Okay, guys, getting out of the Crosstrek, we're going to get out on the passenger side. Pretty easy to get in and out, and on the doors we can also see a pretty nice big deep pocket for some cups and stuff as well, and a little bit of some door storage. Closing that up, let's go hop up to the front of the Crosstrek Wilderness. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we have keyless access, which is a nice touch. No folding mirrors, though. They are heated, and they have that a little side repeater, which is nice. The lights are on, apologies for the sound. And here we can get a quick look at this interior. So this one does have the upgraded Harman Kardon audio system, which honestly is pretty good for this class. Thankfully, the front door panels do get the StarTex material in gray with that contrasting yellow stitching, so it's not a giant piece of just gray-black plastic, which is a little bit unflattering looking. We do have a larger cup holders up front, and again, it's more storage. And then we get even deeper all-weather floor mats with the Subaru Wilderness logo on them, which I do quite like. And a little bit of a different design for these StarTex seats with that contrasting yellow stitching on there. And this one does have the Subaru Wilderness logo embossed into the headrest, which is a really nice touch. Really going with that strong branding here. But let's hop inside because it is freezing outside. Nice solid thunk. And if you've seen any modern Subaru, this interior is very familiar. Take off my gloves for a second for you guys. So what do we have here? Let's start this thing up first. So push the start button right here. Subaru Wilderness logo right in the center console. So what do we have on this interior? This is pretty much what we're seeing on all of Subaru's interiors nowadays. Nothing is really too crazy other than all of the yellow accents. We can see we have these illuminated yellow accents up here on the dash, which is really nice, and we also have these yellow accents on the steering wheel as this giant yellow piece right here and on the seat. So that's pretty much the only big difference on this interior versus a normal Crosstrek. Now, one irritating thing that it does not have is it doesn't have a heated steering wheel. I don't even think it's an option for the Wilderness models. I don't understand why they did not do that. I've been getting in and out of this vehicle the whole week. It's been under 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't the coldest in the US right now, but it's still pretty chilly. And I have nice heated seats. I have nice hot air coming out, but my hands are freezing on the steering wheel because it's not heated. I really don't know why that's not there. Hopefully they can address that in like a facelift or something, but my one major complaint with this interior is that, and it's getting a little bit dated in here with the technology, especially with no digital instrument cluster that pretty much every competitor has nowadays. It works fine though, so I'm not going to make too much of a complaint there, and people do like their traditional gauges, and thankfully Subaru did add back the temperature gauge, physical one at least, but you do have that in the digital side as well. So the steering wheel is pretty common across Subarus. We have paddle shifters here, automatic adaptive LED headlights on this one with these really cool fog lights that we showed earlier, and the steering wheel has a lot of buttons going on here. Our whole left-hand side is for our infotainment system and audio controls. We also have this little slider that can control this little multi-function display in the center here, which gets a few different information stuff. It also has, will show directions for Apple CarPlay, which is nice. On our right-hand side, we have our controls for our standard Subaru EyeSight system, and this has full steering assist, distance control, radar cruise control, and we also see our SI drive mode. So it's essentially a sport and intelligent or just normal driving. And that will pop up here. So you have our sport drive and intelligent drive, and all that is really going to do is change the throttle response of your gas pedal, and it makes it a little bit touchier or a little bit more calm. That's pretty much all it does there. On our center console side, we see this massive touchscreen display. This is pretty much your main hub for pretty much everything on this vehicle. And underneath it, we do have an optional wireless charger on this one, which doesn't really work with my phone, but you do have it. You also have USB-C, A, and a aux cord here. No CD player whatsoever in the Crosstrek anymore. And we see our shifter for our continuously variable transmission here. Pretty easy to operate. We do have a manual function as well. It also has that nice kind of copper accented stitching on the center bit. Some heated seat controls, which we've seen in Subaru since like 2 decades now, pretty much the same control, which is pretty funny. Electronic parking brake, and we have a 12-volt socket here. Interesting, you can see this is actually a gray trim down here. This is not black plastic, and the only gloss black here is pretty much right here. So I do like the minimal use of gloss black plastic because I can't stand it. It gets so scratched up. I do like these little adjustable cup holders here that also have little mountain logos on them, which is pretty cool. A nice grippy material in there, which is nice. And the center console is well padded with those kind of orange and gold accents as well. Very deep center console, very wide as well. No charging solutions in here though, that's something to note. And this armrest does not adjust at all, which is fine. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable actually. I do quite like this StarTex material. It's very grippy. And obviously no cooling function because it is water resistant. And I think that's a great thing that it's water and stain resistant. That's the type of vehicle this kind of audience is going towards. And I think people are going to like it at the end of the road. I do like that embossed Subaru logo on the headrest as well. The rest of this interior is pretty plain looking in its terms of material usage. It's all various forms of injected molded plastic, which is fine. Durable, but you know, not the nicest thing you're going to be finding here. Decent sized glove box as well, which is taken up by the huge service manual or just owner's manual thing in there, which is crazy. And then of course we have our massive center touchscreen. We have some physical controls around it for your volume and tuning, as well as your temperature controls here. And thankfully though, it does have wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, which is a great function. So you don't ever really have to worry about interacting with the system too much. Though you do have all of your climate controls down here. You can see in this lower stack. So you open that thing, that'll pop open the additional climate control settings. And you also have your main app screen as well as a quick widget screen here. We do have auto vehicle hold, auto brake hold, which is nice, auto stop start, profiles, device manager, as well as your additional X mode controls here, which is kind of enhanced for this Wilderness model. You can see our X mode controls here, which also can be accessed in this quick menu up here, which is really nice. So as you can see, we have snow, dirt, normal, deep snow, and mud, and that's going to adjust your all-wheel drive system, as well as activate hold ascent control in some hilly conditions. We can adjust all stuff in here from all of your driver assistance systems, which is really nice. Even more settings, and this is just a little bit of a taste of the settings. It gets even more in depth, and you can get a lot of more information out of these displays here on this car information display, and see all your different angles, as well as what's happening with the suspension and the drivetrain, and see that Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive system working right there. Fine infotainment system. I have noticed it to be a little bit laggy sometimes on cold mornings and startups. It takes a little bit of a while to kind of heat up, and that's a little bit annoying sometimes just because I might want to adjust my fan speed to get it into the right setting. But as you can see now that the car is warmed up, it's pretty decent a touch. It's just the interface doesn't seem very modern looking. The graphics are a little bit dated looking, and hopefully they'll improve this over time, but this is the only option you can get right now in the Crosstrek Wilderness. So, and let's take this thing on a drive. You can see Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system is in full gear here. Let's go up a small, very tiny little hill here, and we'll go down the next hill so I can demonstrate how this hill descent control function works, because it's pretty easy and painless to use. Definitely fun in the snow. a lot of traction. I think the snow mode allows a little bit more slip in the system. So we've on the hill, I think it knows we're on the hill. I'm just gonna let off the brake and it knows we're in hill descent control mode. You can see the angle changing there. Foot is fully off the brake and we're going down this hill at around 2 to 3 miles an hour, which is really nice. Slow and controlled, I do like that. Not a big hill at all, but you get a little bit of an idea of how that works. Pretty simple, easy system to use. I do like these graphics on the display here, pretty nice. Hop it back into normal mode for some road conditions here, and let's head out. We have a sport and an intelligent drive mode. Let's put it into sport for a second. You can hear those simulated gear shifts with a continuously variable transmission there. It's definitely been improved over the years. I know obviously an automatic is always going to be preferred with a lot of you guys, but this is what we're going to be getting here. And the only option on all Subarus these days is their Lineartronic CVT. And it does work fine for what it is. If you don't like it, you're going to have to go with a competitor, unfortunately, though. So how does this Crosstrek Wilderness drive on public roads? So it's a little slippy out today. Thankfully the roads are salted and kind of paved, so we're gonna get a little bit of idea of normal conditions. You know, it's a Subaru, so it's definitely controlled. You always have that traction at all times there. That's the beauty of the Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive system. It's always on all 4 wheels, and they're pretty good active torque distribution on this particular one, which is enhanced, and it's always safe. Now, in terms of driving feel and experience, the steering is generally pretty numb. It's not super light in the sense that you do have a good direction of what's happening with the wheels, even though you can't really feel anything that's happening on that front end. But Subaru's kind of suspension setup and everything isn't tuned to be sporty, especially on this Wilderness model. It's meant for a little bit more comfort, so you don't have some harsh bumps, and that's nice on here. You kind of soaks up a lot of the bumps. And honestly, that's even a good thing to kind of choose this Crosstrek Wilderness. Even if you live in an area with terrible roads, you might have a little bit more of a comfortable ride. And one of the best things about the Crosstrek Wilderness is just the general practicality of everything you really need. You have a lot of technology in here for modern vehicles, and it's pretty much comes all standard in the Crosstrek Wilderness, other than this optional wireless phone charger, which I believe is paired, or it might be paired with this sunroof package here. You do have this tiny little sunroof here, but you get a lot of stuff here. You have automatic vehicle hold, so it's a brake hold when you come to a stop, which is nice. I don't love the implementation of the flashing button all the time, but you do have it. You have auto stop start, which thankfully is easily turned offable with this button right here. Quick access right in the bottom bar, always there. Some people don't like it on. I don't really care too much. I think it's good. It helps save fuel sometimes. But you do have that ease of customizability there, which is really nice. And I do want to show you guys what it's like getting on a highway on-ramp. So it took a long time to fake shift on this one. Sometimes when you're on it, it will kind of fake shift a little bit more. Sometimes that has a mind of its own, which is also something I've noticed quite a bit on the Forest Wilderness. But on the highway, it's actually very smooth. And being someone who has been with now 3 Crosstreks, ranging over a span of over 10 years, they have significantly improved a lot of things, especially in terms of the NVH, or that noise, vibration, and harshness in terms of the interior. It is significantly quieter and more well-tuned on the highway setting. There's a lot of engine noise coming in anymore. A lot of the wheel wet arch noise has been canceled out. They've added more filler into the doors and throughout body panels to make sure it's quieter, and that's something that the earlier Crosstreks did not do very good at all. They sounded very raw in that sense. This is a fantastic, I think, improvement. Now, also on the highway, which is fantastic that Subaru does offer you, is their EyeSight driver assist system. And how does that work? Well, it's basically all able to be controlled from your right-hand side of your steering wheel here. We're gonna get over to our middle lane so I can test this out for you guys. And it's a very simple system to use. In your settings and your infotainment system, you do have more options to kind of customize what's going on with that system, and often they're not really fully accessible while you're driving, actually. So if you go to driving assistance here, some of the stuff is grayed out, so Subaru will only let you change that while you're in park. But for now, all you have to do is really turn on your radar cruise control button. You'll see it kind of open up in your center screen here. You can turn steering assist on and off. Now it says ready, and all you do is press set, and that's it. Your EyeSight is on, and it is fully out here assisting you. Now you can change your distance control here with these 2 buttons. You also can change your speed, obviously, with these little buttons right here. And that's about it. It's a fantastic system, especially, and I love that Subaru includes this now. I think around standard, you're getting all these features, which is really great. A lot of other vehicles, more expensive vehicles, especially premium and luxury cars, will still charge you for a lot of these options. And it's fantastic that they do offer this. Now, this is essentially an advanced driver assistance system. You can't take your hands off the road legally, though. If there's an emergency case for you, I guess you have to. I would put some trust into this system. See steering turned off there, it will alert you. As it is generally really good. It's a little bit salty on the roads right now, so I think it's having a little bit of a hard time navigating the lanes on the road that it's following, which is something that I think a lot of these vehicles are going to have to take into consideration under development in the future, because salty roads kind of blend in with the white lines and sometimes they just can't see them, especially when there's kind of glaring sunlight situations like today. But as you can see right now, it's doing pretty well. It's steering itself, which is pretty scary a little bit sometimes, but it does work very well. And I do have to appreciate the Crosstrek's just general very good handling characteristics. It's very smooth in its driving style. Nothing sporty, nothing too harsh, and I think the suspension is one of the real strong points of this chassis, especially with the Wilderness model. It just seems very soft, cushy, but also stable and controlled all at the same time. And yeah, guys, I've had a pretty fun time with the Crosstrek Wilderness over this past week. Really no complaints at all. It's been a fantastic vehicle. Gotten through a lot of the snowy, icy weather we've had with no issues whatsoever. I tested out Subaru's hill descent control as well as their X mode functions, and even over these really harsh bumps right here, I don't really have any major complaints there. It kind of does it pretty well. I really like that. So props to Subaru for building a really good little off-road compact small SUV hatchback at this point. But I'm impressed with the Crosstrek Wilderness, and of course if you need something bigger, you have the Outback and Forester Wildernesses to play around with. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this drive and review of the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. As always, stay tuned for more coming on Allcarnews, and thank you again for watching. Cheers.